Good evening, folks, and welcome back to yet another late night live stream with me, Diha. Hope everyone is doing well. And tonight, we are playing more Great Ace Attorney. Just picking up where we left off in the trial. Met a couple lovebirds last time. So, Patricia and Rolly, it was their wedding anniversary.
Hold it!
No time to change after work, you say? Remember the police, Mrs. Beat. No, sadly not. It's a job for strapping young men only. Okay, we read this already. I think we pressed every statement last time. So, their names are... The last name is Beat. And he said he's finished his Beat. Like, I'm not aware of old British, or even if this is new British. So is Beat like just around, I guess? I mean, context clues tell me it is. Man, British English is not a real language. Refuse to accept it. Doesn't seem healthy. Okay. Warrant card. His uniform is all like patchy and shit. Are they not allowed to replace it? Like, what's going on here? Oh my god, this is the longest press statement of my life. Two silhouettes peered out of the fog. All of a sudden, one of them collapsed on the floor, the other scattered something. Went straight over, of course, went for help at a nearby police box. It's definitely that Japanese man at the dock. They both saw him. Tell you the names of the 4 books he dropped at the scene. Okay. Just to make sure, what are those 4 books? I did for Rolly. And what was your husband doing at the time? He was lying face down in the snow. Okay. Works ever so hard, you know. Ever so hard, don't you, my darling? Interesting way of guarding the scene of the crime. Well, Mrs. Beat, seeing as you regaled the court with tales of your powers of recollection, would you be so kind as to recount the titles of the books you observed at the scene? I'd be happy to. Now, are you all listening? It was the picture of Monsieur somebody or other, and what's it yearnings? What? That's your recollection? That's shit. And there was a meal for someone, and the last one was definitely the thingamy something. You see? Yes, I see there are 1 or 2 holes in your memory. Oh well, they were along those lines, I'm quite sure. There were indeed books found at the scene with titles along those lines, as you put it. Well, what did I tell you? So I think it's very mean the way you've been implying that my testimony can't be trusted. Don't you agree, darling? Right, this fucking guy just has his revolver here. Okay. Put that shit down. Trigger discipline. Terrifying. Yes, she really is. Their entire testimony. Really does seem as though Mr. and Mrs. Beat saw what they say they saw. Mr. Natsume running away from the scene on Briar Road that day. Yes, I feel the same. So if that's true, where does it leave us? The members of the jury are sure to call for a guilty verdict after this testimony. Oh no. What do we do? If Kazuma-sama were here... What are you trying to say? I think he would try to find a contradiction somewhere else within their testimony. What do you mean, somewhere else? The statement about seeing Mr. Natsume is unequivocal. Calling that into question won't help. But if you could identify some other part of their testimony which appears to contradict the facts... Good plan. Good plan, Sasato. This is why you're here. This is why we need you. Ugh, why do I always seem to be up against it? Two silhouettes. Okay. What do we have, first of all? Map? Wait. There are 3 books. Uh-huh. The 4 books. But there were 3.
Objection!
Gotcha. So, you're saying that there were 4 books? That's right. I remember all of them. The picture of Monsieur Somebody, What's It Yearnings, A Meal for Someone, and the Thingamy Something. I'm sorry, Mrs. B. But there is a fundamental flaw in that statement of yours. Oh no. What flaw? Simply that, at the scene of the crime, there are only 3 books, not 4. What? This is the receipt from the bookshop where the defendant bought his books. Your books? Yes, and it details Mr. Natsume's purchases that day. But as you can see, only 3 books are listed. Only 3? But no, that can't be. I remember seeing them. There were 4 books, I tell you. 4 dirty books. Oh, this is funny. The animations they do for the characters are so good in this game. Dude, Ryunosuke is really upping up his desk slam game, I gotta say. He's learning quick. Oh really? Have a good look at this photographic print of the scene of the crime. As you can clearly see from this evidence as well, there are only 3 books. Oh, I could have presented that too. But I just don't believe it. Oh my god, you're gonna break his spine. I saw them there, I swear, I saw them. Domestic abuse can go both ways, folks. No, madam, I'm afraid your powers of observation cannot be relied upon. So it cannot be denied that though you say it was the defendant you saw, you could very well be mistaken. Oh no. Oh no. Those special eyes of yours aren't so...
Objection!
reliable, are they? Dude, what is this pose? Who is this diva? It's plainly evident that it is your powers of deduction that cannot be relied upon, my learned Nipponese friend. I'm his friend now. How nice. What? What cannot be denied is that these 2 witnesses saw the accused running from the scene. A fact that you know very well you have no hope of disproving. So, you've striven to avert attention from that by dint of some inconsequential discrepancies. Would that be fair? Ugh, he sees right through me. It's true, we are kind of grasping at straws, but your plan has somewhat recoiled against you. What are you talking about? It's quite simple. Let me explain with a toast. To the policeman's wife in an entirely accurate testimony, in every respect. Oh! You see, the matter is not up for debate. At the scene on Briar Road, a total of 4 books were most definitely found.
Objection!
But what about the photographic print? It only shows 3 books. Quite right. Only 3 can be seen in that print. What? That print? You mean to say... Dude just poured a whole chalice of wine, set it toast, swirled it around for a bit, and did not take a sip. This fucking fraud. That wine is like... That just has to be grape juice or something, you know? You can't afford to be wasting your wine on that. This is why we need to take down the bourgeoisie. True. True and real. Yeah, maybe this guy is just wasting his real wine. He's just that dramatic, I guess. Oh my fucking god. The Lion's Pride. Why is that one like burnt? It's the 4th book. As you will observe, the 4th book was hidden from view in the original print by the victim's torso. No. No! Your evidence is shit. Order, order! There, you see? Look at that. Look, look, look. Yes.
It's just like I said, isn't it, my darling? Yes, sir. Patricia's always right, sir.
Let us study the receipt for the books purchased by the accused on the day in question. Mrs. Beat, the titles once again, if you please.
Oh, yes, of course. The picture of Monsieur somebody or other.
The picture of Monsieur Lecoq? I'll say Lecoq.
What's it, Yearnings?
Canterbury Yearnings.
A meal for someone.
A meal for Gaboriau, in fact. As the court has just heard, the witness remembers the book titles flawlessly, save for a few minor details. Yes, flawlessly is definitely how I put it. Mrs. Beat's powers of recollection can only be described as exceptional. Yeah. Powers of recollection rivaled only by Sholmes. The dude can't even remember my name.
Do you hear that, Rolly? The gentleman paid me a compliment. Yes, sir. Flawless, sir. Patricia's flawless.
But there are only 3 books on the receipt, and Mrs. Beat mentioned 4. Well, Lion's Pride was held by the victim. Come on. There's nothing surprising about that. Clearly, the 4th book is that which is shown in this photographic print. I'm sorry, counsel, but does that not seem odd? Why should the 4th book be omitted from the receipt? It's not odd at all, my lord. As the photograph clearly shows, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, it belongs to the victim. The victim was holding her own book? I wonder, what became of that 4th book? Obviously, it wasn't overlooked by the investigating officers at the Scotland Yard. I have it here as evidence. Wow, you really just took that for yourself, huh? You will submit that and the aforementioned photographic print to the court, please, counsel. My pleasure, my lord. Crime scene photograph 2. Okay, so we gotta check out that burn on the book, right? The prosecution rests. I have nothing further to add. What? You seem surprised, my learned friend. But your resistance until now has been in vain. Entertaining, yes, but futile. The spurious no longer route to the accused's lodgings that you tried to establish in your summation examination, and the attempted discrediting of the witness's powers of recollection in your cross-examination. Futile? I walked right into this, didn't I? Okay, but the summation examination, you have to give me that one, right? All Van Zieks did is say that, no, he could have jumped over the roadwork. Like, are you fucking kidding me? 2 meters? That guy? Long jumping 2 meters? Hell nah. Hell nah. I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe that everyone else in here believes it too. You see, everything we've said is true. Oh my god, you could hear the fucking spine crack when she does that. You're gonna make him paralytic. Yes, Pat. Marry me, Pat. Already there. So, perhaps the ladies and gentlemen of the jury would like to reconsider their positions. Should the court waste any more time on this Nipponese travesty? Okay. Travesty's a bit much, man. Racism strikes again. Or is it the decision you have to make all too apparent already? You've heard all the witnesses and seen all of the evidence. This trial has run its course. Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid we are in a terribly precarious position. I know, but if I fight back in the wrong way now, I could very well just make matters worse. Think, Ryunosuke, think. What do you do now? I really have nothing to object. Wait, hold on. I need to observe everything. Examine. I've not examined this yet. Let's look at it. We save is what we do. True. Wait. The tip of this knife is like blunted. The fuck? Why is it cut off? Oh, look here, Mr. Naruhodo. Just at the tip. Pause. Yeah, I should save, huh? Thanks, Aya. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing. You're right. Well spotted, Mrs. Sato. I wonder what could have happened to it. Yes. You don't think it could still be lodged in the victim, do you? Oh dear, I do hope not. That sounds terribly painful. Well, that seems to be the main thing we're looking at. Updated photograph. So the knife went into the victim's back. It's probably still not in the victim's back, the little tip of it. The lion's pride. Obviously we need to look for that burn mark, yeah? There it is. There it is. Now, is this the same location? We have to make sure. Top right corner of the book. Yes. Consistent. Oh, look at this. The book has been badly burnt. You're right. You'd never be able to read it in this state. Especially not the latter pages. What a terrible waste. Judging from the scorched edges of the paper, I think the damage must have occurred very recently. A book recently damaged by fire. Why does that seem to raise a red flag with me? The only fires that we're aware of is the one that the maid lady caused, right? What was her name? Yeah, Joan Garadeb. She's in attendance today as a member of the jury. What a fucking coincidence, huh? And we have fucking Mac Knight here. Alright, well, gotta save. Alright, well, we can try to object. We have like 2 things that haven't been explained. The knife and the book. I'm not done yet. No, my lone friend, it's over. The last cross-examination was your final chance to establish a credible defense, and you failed. The die has been cast. There's no more room for debate. Well, it might be over as far as you're concerned, but can't think of what to say. Don't look so disappointed in me, Sasato. I tried. If I may, Lord Van Zieks, it seems somewhat boorish to close down the debate at this point. Your insignificant little Eastern Isle must be a lawless hole indeed. Oh, racism again. Can't just keep using that card, man. That's overpowered. Gotta ban racism, for real. A lowly judicial assistant to have the audacity to intervene at a moment like this. Oh. I am, to my shame, still a very inexperienced lawyer. So you will have to forgive me, but I consider my assistant's advice essential and her opinions invaluable. Mr. Naruhodo. One of this land's great guiding principles is tolerance, so the court will hear you, madam. Go ahead, Mrs. Sato. Please. Save me. Very well. Pray, what insight can you give us? What have we all overlooked in this matter that you see fit to pursue further? Well, the court has been presented with new evidence, but only after the last cross-examination finished. I see. And you believe that this new evidence warrants further examination, do you? Well, that's what I've been saying. Well, I guess Naruhodo didn't say it yet. Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think? It's just possible that this new evidence might be the decisive proof we've been waiting for. The judge is sure to ask the members of the jury to announce their leanings in a moment. And, of course, he's sure to ask you to explain what the crucial piece of evidence is and why. So we must take this opportunity to examine the newly presented evidence as thoroughly as possible. I already did that. Way ahead of you. Yes, I understand, and thank you, Mrs. Sato. This is it. Sato-san has managed to win us one last chance here. I can't let it go to waste. The defense wishes to present evidence, my lord. Very well. The defense may present one further piece of evidence. One. Evidence that apparently offers a profound insight in this case and has hitherto been overlooked. Okay, well, the victim was killed by a thrust, right? A knife thrust. If the knife was already damaged at the tip, how could you thrust it? See what I'm saying? Versus this one, the burnt book. I don't really see how we can make arguments off of this by itself. So, But I don't think we got that knife. During the last cross-examination, right? What if we examine the book from the front? I think I'm gonna place auto? What's auto? What if I click auto? Why is auto here? Okay. What to do, what to do. I feel like since the book was the piece of evidence that we just got, then maybe that's what we want to talk about. Against all my intuition. Maybe we're trying to explain how it got burnt. Maybe that helps us.
Take that!
The evidence in question is what we can see from the newly presented photographic print of the crime scene. Oh, autoplay's on, that's why. Fourth book found in the victim's hand.
Objection!
We've already discussed the fourth book at length. Other than it being in the victim's grasp at the time of the incident, no significance has been attached to it. Pursuing the matter further would be a flagrant waste of this court's time, as you well know. Yeah. Yes. I'm afraid, counsel, I must concur with the prosecution on this matter. When I afforded you this opportunity, you led the court to believe that the evidence in question contained a hitherto undiscovered clue. So I must insist that you elaborate, counsel. You will identify this clue at once. Okay. Phew. Do I make myself clear? Oh, yes, my lord. It's, come on, we already inspected it. I believe the prosecution is trying to avoid a thorough examination of the evidence, which means you may very well be on the right track. Yes, I think you might be right. So, counsel, precisely where is the vital clue to this case, which this fourth book conceals? Ta-da! Yeah, okay. I already knew that. I keep on mixing up that there's an actual present button, and not just clicking on it.
Got it!
Got it! I'll ask the court to observe the back of the book in question. The back? What do you... Oh, good gracious! It's been burnt to a crisp. So we have to ask ourselves, why was the victim clutching what is clearly an unreadable book? It is undeniably an extremely unnatural thing for her to have been doing. Oh my, their scarves are actually connected. It's one scarf. I thought they were wearing matching scarves. They're literally tied together. That's hilarious. Unnatural, you say? What of it, my Nipponese friend? Oh. Were I to concede the point, it bears no relation to the case. There is nothing to discuss. So, should you wish to assert that the fire damages some veiled clue as to what happened that day? Pray, to enlighten us all, what truth does this charred book hide? A charred book? Maybe we can prove that it's not actually hers, right? We could connect it to the fire in the Garrideb's house. It's like, oh, that book got burned at the Garrideb residence. Therefore, it's not the victim's. There's just one possibility here, which I can't quite bring myself to rule out. It's an outside chance, certainly, but worth a try. Alright, I'll explain my theory. Alright, what are you suggesting that you can ascertain the fire damage the Starry Tomb has suffered? Its owner. My lord, the burn on the back of this book reveals a startling truth. Startling. About the book's owner. I beg your pardon?
But we already know who the book belongs to. The victim was gripping it in her hand as she fell to the floor. After all, it's obviously hers.
The question of how this book came to be in the victim's hand is yet to be answered. However, as to the questions of who the book really belongs to and where it originated, the defense has very credible answers. Good gracious, how can you possibly? Very well, I'll play along with this futile attempt to delay your inevitable demise. But do remember that members of the jury may well burn you if your little gamble goes awry. Counsel, the defense's response here is very likely to influence the final outcome of this trial. So tell the court, who do you claim is the owner of this burnt book? John Garadeb.
Take that!
John Ace Attorney. The answer is that the book belongs to the couple who own the house where the defendant has his lodgings. A certain Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb. The landlords. And whether this is some extraordinary coincidence or some kind of fate at work, I don't know. But of all the people in London, one of the 6 chosen for jury duty in this courtroom today is none other than Mrs. Garadeb herself.
Oh my goodness, me? I think you must be mistaken, sir. I'm not Mr. Garadeb's wife. I'm his mate.
Things would be so much easier if you would just drop the pretense. Alright then, how about a simple question for you? Have you ever seen this book in Mr. Garadeb's house?
I would never presume to know all the books he keeps, sir.
Objection!
This is outlandish behavior. This woman is the accused landlady, you say? You implicate this hardworking member of the public. You besmirch her without a shred of evidence. Your actions are unforgivable.
Objection!
No. This is not mere conjecture. The defense happens to know. Yeah, especially since the great Herlock Sholmes helped me out too. That on the day in question, at almost exactly the same time as the victim was stabbed on the pavement below, another incident was taking place in the room on the top floor of Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's house. Good lord, what sort of incident, counsel? A fire, my lord. Afraid to say it was. Happened in the blink of an eye, you know. The whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bally thing. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bally furniture started going up as well. The worst of it is, I lost my favorite. Book called The Lion's Pride. Oh, they did mention it by title. Ooh, I like this expression. He's fucking pissed. He wants to kill me. The Lion's Pride. By Jove, the very same title that's the subject of this debate. Oh dear me.
Objection!
This is risible? I don't know what that word means. All you've told the court is that a book by the same name was involved in a fire. In which case, it would be reasonable to assume that it was burned to ashes. And entirely unreasonable to infer that it magically removed itself to the scene of the crime. Perhaps it would make more sense if I told you that the cause of the fire was marital discord. Without going into details, it appears that Mrs. Garadeb was considerably enraged. Apparently, she continued to attack Mr. Garadeb even amid the flames.
Oh, how awful. I can't even imagine being so horrid to the one you love. Can you, Rolly?
I don't know, the whole bone cracking thing's pretty horrid to me.
Absolutely not, sir. My Patricia would never raise a finger against me, sir. They're all my favorites. Old novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh, up in smoke. My wife started hurling things at me. There was I back up against the window under heavy enemy fire. Incendiary books coming 10 to the dozen. The man had his back up against the window. He had burning books thrown at him. Goodness gracious! Are you suggesting? The book was thrown through a window and landed coincidentally at the scene of the crime.
Objection!
No, a thorough investigation of the surrounding area was conducted the very evening of the incident. There was no report that the Garrideb's window pane being broken. That's quite true. We also saw no sign of broken glass when we visited the Garrideb household. But is it not conceivable that the window was open at the time and not even remotely? Let us not forget the season and the chilling weather that accompanies it. No Londoner would ever leave a window open in the middle of winter. Does the defense postulate this scenario in all seriousness, counsel? Do you earnestly claim that the book found at the scene was a flaming projectile thrown by Mr. Garrideb's wife? I mean, it has to be, right? I believe it's a possibility, my lord. It's quite enough. Let me guess. Mrs. Garrideb? Well, I hope everyone can see you for what you are now, you little foreign trickster. More racism. You call yourself a lawyer, but you're just a coward. A mean coward. Really? Claiming that a little tiff said the whole neighborhood alights, honestly. Implying that I'm merely posing as a maid for appearance's sake. How could you? It's nothing to do with this beastly case, not any of it. All you've done is sully our family's name. No, I assure you, that was never my intention. Dragging an upstanding citizen's name through the mud simply to divert attention from your failing defense. Oh, the guy dodged it. That's a nice touch. I should box your ears. That's what I should do. It's utterly unforgivable. You're right. Come on, this guy fucking... He wants to get me so bad. Here we go. How long have we sat here now, listening to this Nipponese spouting out his very fancy foreign theories? But think about it. At the end of the day, the only person who could possibly have stabbed the victim is that little hunchback with a mustache, and he ran away from the scene too. I do declare you're right. It's true. Yes, what did I tell you? Makes sense to me. Oh my god, these guys are so... They're so dumb. Sorry? What's that? Just like that, they're flipping. I'm sure that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury are once again in full agreement. Democracy never works. I love democracy. What is your position, Lord Van Zieks? Not really democracy when there's a guy here with his chalice of wine telling them what to think at all times. In truth, my lord, I feel that these have been unnecessarily protracted proceedings. But then one must always exercise patience in order to save the best vintage. Best vintage, my ass. You spilled so many glasses of those. No, wait. The mystery of the fourth book still hasn't been... Okay. This will never not get me. This fucking pose. Who does this fucking guy think he is? He's the best. I love him. If books are your predilection, my learned friends, study them in your own time. It's so ridiculous. It's so fitting for him. What, no forgive the discourtesy this time? No. The shoe slam is a courtesy, not a discourtesy.
Everyone wants to stare at those fancy heels, you know?
You will now state your individual decisions regarding the defendant's culpability for the court to hear.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Do I have to do a summation examination again?
Guilty.
Yeah, fuck you.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Wow, 2 in 1 trial. Isn't that something?
Thank you for that unambiguous response.
That's twice now. It's over. Mr. Naruhodo, don't give up. Mrs. Sato? Have you forgotten? The battle isn't over yet. You're not suggesting. Old man? He hasn't heard a thing? True. But he could also be a racist. Would not surprise me. The defense has the right to another summation examination at this point. You can still convince the jurors to change their minds. You have one more chance. My lord, the defense asked to exercise its right to a summation examination. You believe you still have tricks up your sleeve. I don't intend to trick anybody. I intend to uncover the truth. This is no time to be downcast. As long as there's a chance, I have to stay strong and determined. To be continued? What? Not even like during a recess. This is just in the middle. Okay.
I have considered the defense's counsel's request for further summation examination of the jury, and I have determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure.
Good guy, judge.
So, counsel, you will now proceed with your second summation examination. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman.
We are, my lord.
Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to state clearly and concisely for the court the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of this crime.
What are your grounds? Judicial findings.
The accused left evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his.
If there was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider. There is that blunted knife. Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it? Dearie me, it was only a little book, hardly life-threatening, even with a direct hit. It was on fire, lady.
Look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tiny bit of trouble.
Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. It gave me the sneezes. What is that supposed to help me with?
Yes, considerably more tangible arguments from all members of the jury this time around, it seems. With one notable exception, of course.
My learned student friend was unable to find fault in the previous witness testimony. So the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene. And moreover, no one else was even at the scene to commit the crime.
Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way.
That means I'm afraid that during the summation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts. But how? What could even constitute a tangible explanation here? Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman and how? Those 2 details are all you need to provide. Simply give us a name and a method by which the attack was conducted. There, I was thinking that this might be hard. But Mr. Naruto, you have to do it. Otherwise, this really will be where the trial ends.
Ugh, no pressure then. It's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summation examination, please. I presume you are prepared, Consul?
Oh, yes, my lord. All right, Inosuke, focus your mind now. Smack, smack. Clearly, the key to the summation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid. Or should I say, Mrs. Garadeb. We have a book that disappeared from the Garadeb's house on the evening of the incident. The 4th book found in the victim's hand. There must be a way to link the two. Yes, that's what we have to find. Using every technique I've learned in my short career so far. Whatever it takes. Don't forget to keep an eye on Mrs. Garadeb and how she reacts, even to things other people say. Oh, you can... They can react in the jury examination. I like the 2 witnesses in the back. They're still here.
Hold it!
Hold it. But as we now know, there were 4 books, not 3.
What difference does it make?
There's every possibility the 4th book, in fact, belongs to the defendant's landlord.
Yes, that's the part I have a problem with.
Sorry?
Well, at the point the woman was stabbed, this landlord fellow was at home, wasn't he? Enjoying a fiery scrap with his wife or something, you said.
That's not exactly how I put it, no.
Well, anyway, the point is, the fellow and his wife were somewhere else when it happened.
I think that's what you call a strong alibi.
So it couldn't have been the landlord who did it, which leaves only the Nipponese fellow. Honestly, I can't see what all this palaver's about. It's a done deal, isn't it?
Suppose it is, since I have nothing witty left to say.
Hold it!
So, you might be willing to change your decision, you mean? Oh my, such delight on your face. But I'm afraid I shan't be swayed by emotion. Despite what you may think of me, I'm a very modern, metropolitan, and rational woman. And racist. That's great. If one reads the morning papers, it's all forgotten by tea time, isn't it? So why read them in the first place? You see, modern, metropolitan, and rational thinking, wouldn't you say? And not at all extreme. Now I see it. An overwhelmingly suspicious Japanese man has been implicated by overwhelmingly strong testimony. So despite 1 or 2 minor puzzlements, I do declare that the man is overwhelmingly guilty. Racist. Modern, metropolitan, and rational logic, wouldn't you say? Overwhelmingly. But us modern gals are highly... They used gal back then? Are always delighted to embrace new fads, you know? So I'd only be too happy to consider an exciting new theory if you come up with one. Okay, so if anything, she's the one most willing to change her mind. Good. Be happy to do that too. If only I could. Let's do our very best not to disappoint the modern and metropolitan young lady. Right. I'm glad you admitted rational there.
Hold it!
What about the possibility that the window was open? Oh, what about it? I mean, there's just no way it could have been. How can you be so sure? The prosecutor fellow over there said it earlier, didn't he? Winters in London I cannot talk. Winters in London are no joke. You don't want to invite that sort of cold indoors. So no, that window wasn't open. Us Londoners like sitting by the fire and staying warm, see? Well, you couldn't categorically state the window wasn't open, could you? It just wasn't. They wouldn't have opened it. Then what's the point in even having windows, huh?
Consul, you will kindly refrain from childish bickering.
Oh, sorry. He looks too much like Phoenix here. Somehow I need to show there's an undeniable possibility that the window was open. Somehow. Man isn't gonna budge otherwise. You know, maybe the old man has what we need.
Hold it!
Gave you the sneezes, you say? Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case? Well, if you have a fire, then maybe you'd open the window to let the smoke out. Right? Sorry, what's that? You have to speak up, lad. Could you tell us more about that fire? It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. I had 75 candles on the top, it did. What a sight to behold it was. You put candles on a cake? Was it some kind of devil worship? Of course not. It was an angel cake to celebrate my birthday, obviously. It seems it's a common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Naruhodo. They don't have birthday cakes in Japan yet. Anyway, I must have put all my puff to blow them out. Only it must have blown rocks somehow. The flames didn't go out, but candles went flying all over the room. The furniture caught and everything went up. The whole place filled with smoke. It definitely sounds like a devil worship to me. And by the sneezes, I presume you mean a cold. How did you catch a cold from a fire? What a fiasco it was. The grandchildren, bless them, they threw water over me as they tried to put out the flames. And then, because the whole room had filled up with smoke, of course, we had to open all the windows to clear it. The windows? The biting winter air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave, it did. Got a terrible cold from it. Put me in a hospital for a while. I won't forget that birthday in a hurry. I knew it was devil worship all along. Something about this old man's story is playing on my mind for some reason. I knew it was the smoke. As well as how he or she could have done it. Yes, but once again, the jurors' statements are full of personal prejudice and racism. A lot of them seem convinced that right, even in the face of logical arguments to the contrary. I think you're going to need to pit them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation. Yes. Man, this mechanic is so good. Who thought of this? It is a reward. Alright, I'll see what I can do. If anything stands out, we'll go in for a strike. That's the spirit. Like, they finally add juries to Ace Attorney. And it's done so well. Alright, well, before we press everyone else, we'll pit you against you.
Objection!
They do? How exactly, counsel? Oh, point at me again. I told you it wasn't me. What's that you say? Speak up, lad. Speak up. Juror number 3, do you see? Bars? Oh, me? See what, sir? Do you hear juror number 6's account of his birthday celebrations last year? It seems, despite being a Londoner, he wants to open his windows in the middle of winter. Well, yes, of course, because it was an emergency. I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad not to open the... Oh! Exactly. On the day in question at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garadeb household. Mr. Garadeb had the following to say about it. The whole place filled with smoke.
Oh my.
Oh, my hat? Hello? Press you. Oh, that's a lot of fucking tea.
Excuse me!
Excuse me? That was a very American excuse me. Juror number 4, do you have something to say about that? Mrs. Garadeb. Oh, dearie me. What is the meaning of this? How dare you imply that I'm hiding who I really am? It's imperative that you confirm something for the court. So please, it's time to drop the pretense now. Well, what is it? When the fire started in your house that day, did you or your husband open the window? What? I beg your pardon? What are you insinuating? The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and bookcase caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it's inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window. And what if we did? Oh, right then. Yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window, which can't have been easy, since you're continuing to give him a justly deserved book battering. I wouldn't say justly. Even though your house was on fire. Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It'd be terribly bad for the nerves to do otherwise. Of course. I should have realized. That's a significant step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. You've managed to establish that the window is open. We simply must have added that added to Mrs. Garradeb's formal statement. Right. Okay. Now we can press you. Actually, no, we didn't change your mind yet. The window could have been open, but you did change your statement. Huh.
Hold it!
There's layers to this one. We know there was a small house fire in the Garradeb household on the opposite side of the street. Oh yes, it certainly seems that way. We counted the smoke. I imagine they would have had the windows wide open in spite of the cold. Why are you doing this again? Is this the same? What is it? Did that last statement trouble you in some way, perhaps? Troubling me is that little Japanese lodger with the funny mustache. After all, when a lodger moves in, it's rather like having a new member of the family arrive. It might be an idea to use a new member of the family's name then, instead of that little Japanese lodger. Point is, it's very difficult to know what would make a good welcome gift from the man. A book or something nice to eat? Putting aside concerns about presents for the moment, could you maybe focus on the present concerns at hand?
Hold it!
So know that Mrs. Garradeb was throwing flaming books at her husband. Her husband, who was backed into a corner by the window due to his wife's frenzied attack. Yes, that's right. So there's definitely a chance that one of the books could have flown past the man and out of the window. Only what? Only I can't really see how it could have gone all the way over to the other side of the road, that's all. Ah. So I don't really see how I can change my decision, really. Oh, I see. Was it enough? What is it going to take to persuade these people? That is true. It was on the other side of the road.
Hold it!
The fourth book found in the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. The title of the book is The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, as the book that Mr. Garradeb told us he had been reading. Well, I really couldn't say. On the day in question, did you or did you not throw out your husband the copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading? I did. It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled straight at him. Now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right. Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset? Because I couldn't, you insolent little man. I didn't remember. Times like that, you pick up whatever you can lay your hands on as well, you know? This is not a healthy relationship. I really don't. Barely noticed I was throwing a book. Much less the title of it. What? What do you have to say?
Excuse me!
What is it, juror number 5? You know something? I remember what it was. The memory I blocked out. Ah. I was listening to what this granny was saying. Brought it all flooding back. Granny, nice dodge. What are you calling a granny, you cheeky devil? I'm Mrs. Garradeb with a maid, I'll have you know. But which one is it? The man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to being hit all the time.
It was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home after work, like. Put my hand in my pocket for the wages I just earned that day, and I nearly died. It was a hole. Every last penny had dropped out. Oh dear, what a disaster. You haven't heard the half of it, boy. Oh? The wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I could hardly get the words out, but I told her straight. I've lost the day's wages, love. Next thing I knew, the blade was whistling past my ear. Stuck in the wall next to me, it did, about an inch deep. No words, just terror.
And this is really the case of marital disputes here.
I could smell them, you know, the god-awful stench of the Thames. I was sure I was going to end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I can tell you. Now, that's a real disaster, isn't it?
I'll never use the word lightly again.
Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When women lose their rag, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it.
Knives, you say? Possibly even a jackknife.
Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined.
Oh, you would never, Susato. You'd only simply, do your special Susato flip on me.
No, I wasn't thinking that. Throwing household objects at people is, well, so uncivilized. At least attack with honor, using a bow or the like.
What? Attack? Where are you going to attack?
Never mind. Anyway, this man's words could be rather significant, I think.
Alright, we'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later, if I dare.
Hold it!
Your wife really threw a kitchen knife at you?
That's right. She was chopping me with it. The tiny edge on it, believe me. Still, it's all memories, isn't it? It started with that smile she threw at me when we were courting. Since then, the list of things she's thrown at me has grown along with our relationship. There's a cup, a glass, and a pot, kettle, chair, wardrobe, cooker, bathtub. Bathtub? What the fuck? Your wife must be even beefier than you. Things came to a head last week when she threw me right into the Thames. Still, she's not so bad when she's calmed down. She's a little sweetheart, really. I'm so happy for you. You want to know what I think? I think this whole idea of ladies first that we're so obsessed with in this country was thought up by some clever lads who've been tossed in the Thames a few too many times by their wives. That's a very interesting theory. What a terrible thought. The face of it, this juror's statement just sounds like a really extreme anecdote. But I think it might turn out to be an extremely powerful weapon. A weapon I might be able to use to make the jurors accept an alternative explanation here. Don't tell me that she threw the knife and it happened to land in the victim's back. Okay, this one is crazy, but we'll try. Sorry, I did not mean to press. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. No. Hit. You. And you.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly have a deeply significant contradiction. Juror number 2, or do you think perhaps this could be one such novel alternative? Oh my, whatever do you mean? An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back. What are you talking about? We've demonstrated that the 4th book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime, originated in Mr. Garrett's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book could have found its way from the Garrett household to the street below. Eh? What now? After all, Mrs. Garrett could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4? What are you insinuating now, you little beanpole? Oh, that's new. Can you think of that ever since the true origins of this book came to light? Perhaps she's had a feeling that this might be what happened. You listen here, you Eastern Gala. As the foreman of this jury, I demand a straight answer. You give us this yarn about some other object making its way out of the house, but what? What is it? I'm really taking a big gamble here. That was a bold accusation to make, but I haven't made any real evidence to back it up. I'm certain that at the very least this warrants further investigation. Alright, Mr. Foreman, I'll try to explain the defense's theory. The other object that found its way from the Garrett household to the scene of the crime was...
Take that!
the knife. Knife. Juror number 4, Mrs. Garrett. What now? I must apologize in advance for this. But I need you to confirm something else with the court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before? Ah! Good Lord, Counsel, what on earth are you doing? What's the weapon that was lodged in the victim's back, man? My lord, remember that when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Garrett were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Garrett was hurling anything she could at her husband, who had been backed up against the window. A window that had been opened to clear the smoke, and through which a book sailed to land the crime scene. I can't seriously believe that the book was found in the victim's grasp. Are you saying that it flew out the window and across the street to land neatly in her hands? Huh. My missus hasn't got a name like that. Yes, I admit, there are many details we don't yet understand. That's the point. That's precisely why we must not allow this child to end. Not right now. My. Mrs. Garrett, your answer, please. Have you seen this knife before or not? Oh my, she's fucking dead. My lord, I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word, after all. Thank you, madam. Yes, I agree. Certainly didn't see this coming, but... Wow, you actually changed your mind. Thought you'd be an ass the whole time, but... Here we go. Mr. Foreman. I'd have to agree. Although I think the granny didn't mind. Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either. Together now, ladies and gents. Easy. Full sweep. We did it. So, as a member of the defense's summation, as the result of the defense's summation examination, a number of jurors' leanings have changed. 2 jurors called guilty, against 4 now calling innocent. Accordingly, the opinion of this court is divided. This trial will continue. Got 'em. Eat shit, Van Zeeks. Now then, Lord Van Zeeks, how does the prosecution wish to proceed? Oh, now you drink. Yummy, yummy. Like a corked wine, the first few sips are bitter enough. And you throw it away. follows is so repugnant it's good for nothing save the gutter. If I may, Lord Venzigs, the defense has just put forward a credible alternative explanation for what happened. Credible? Is that your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman? The defense's argument is a joke to which I barely know how to respond. But let me start by insisting that you must all familiarize yourselves better with the relative positions of those places being discussed. What do you mean by that? What's this angle this time? It should already be more than apparent that between the crime scene and the Garrett household was a rather wide street, Briar Road. Which means that the distance from the Garrett house to the scene is some, 15 yards. Let me see, 15 yards. It's around 14 meters. 14 meters? Oh, it's a little farther than I imagined. And as you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly noted as having potential significance, the fourth book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, the smoldering book wantonly hurled by the lady of the house traveled some 15 yards. Landed on the opposite side of the road, neatly between the collapsed victim's fingernails and thumb. Is that your final conclusion, my learned, deluded friend? Sorry, 1 sec. Need a water break. Alright. This fantasy is somewhat stretching the notion of having a bad day for the victim, I think. Even those pathetic serialized detective stories have more believable plots. There's something I can say to that. That particular loves the sound of his own voice. Sato. Serialized detective stories are pathetic, are they? How dare he? Oh, she's pissed now. Now she's gonna get him. Maybe let's pick our battles here. My lord, might I be able to speak? As judicial assistant, you may speak with the defense. Yes, go ahead. The prosecution may consider the idea of fantasy, but what the defense has postulated was believable enough to persuade the jury to change its leaning. And as such, the court has a duty to explore this alternative explanation as thoroughly as possible. To that end, Juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garrideb must be called to testify and submit to cross-examination. Such a life. Cross-examination of a juror. Order. Well, then this is highly irregular. It's unprecedented for a member of the jury to be summoned to the witness stand.
Objection!
And unnecessary. Lord Van Zeus. There are already witnesses in the stand whose testimony the defense may further cross-examine. There are already witnesses in the stand whose testimony the defense may further cross-examine. If my learned friend's farcical theory has any truth in it. Sorry, need more water. And both a burning book and a jackknife must have flown through the sky before this couple's eyes. I must assume they would be able to testify accordingly. What say you, witnesses? Yes, sir. Constable Rowley reporting for duty, sir. Well, good morning, officer. Sorry for dozing until now, sir. I haven't slept for a month on account of a villain who's appeared on my beat, sir. Villain? Oh, they're so heroic, these London bobbies. Patricia, my darling, neglecting you no more. Oh. Order the witnesses to the stand to testify again. Oh boy, these guys again. Alright, here we go. Nothing to do with them, huh? See, side of the windows on the top floor of the garage are top hinged. I did leave the scene to go and fetch help. And then he was there. To take my eyes off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing to change the report on that front, sir. Details are not on the police report, Constable. So sorry about that. Must have been a little drowsy. Yeah, sure were. No sock. Sorry, but what exactly is a top-hinge casement window? You can escape your ignorance with such trite remarks, my learned friend. Of course, sorry. I found it, Mr. Naruhodo. Cast your mind back to the windows in Mr. and Mrs. Garadib's room. Alright, photographic memory, help me out. So the window opens in order to allow air to circulate from inside the house. Oh, the 3D graphics. It's a top hinged casement window. Glad you rectified your ignorance. A casement window's most prominent feature.
Stay. A metal bar which prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain amount. Interesting. Prevents it opening. It's all news to me. In other words, book and knife would have been thrown through the open window, clattered against the pane, and fallen straight down the pavement below. No. See the problem then? Good, your education in Windows is complete. There's never any possibility of either book or the knife traveling 15 yards over the road. Well, if it had those windows open, maybe it just dropped on her. Bee! The bees, not the bees. Did you see that, Rolly? The young Japanese man just collapsed in agony. Oh yes, darling, I saw it. Saw how you crumpled before me. Oh, Rolly, you're so strong. I'm over here dying. How is this happening? I haven't started the cross-examination yet, and already my argument's been destroyed.
Consul, if you could drag yourself upright again, the court awaits your cross-examination. Oof.
My lord. Good, another desperate situation.
Hold it!
How can you say that for certain? Very good question, sir. And the answer is this. It's the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to us policemen are sworn duty. Okay, elaborate. He showed us that before, didn't he? Did he? I can't say I remember. He did. Patrol the streets. Yep. That's what the job's all about. So I can stand there. Okay, well, rubbing my tired eyes and admittedly, sir. Really, you're so manly. Of course I am, my darling Patricia. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. None of this is what I meant. How can you say for certain that this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett? Ah, I see, sir. You should have said so earlier, sir. Yes, well, so could you answer the question? That was a waste of time then. Absolutely, sir. I'll answer the fullest of my ability, sir. Surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's domestic dispute can't be related to the case. Before I get into that, sir, just one thing. Holy, this was a long press statement. Yes? Very much like you and all your countrymen to understand the great British institution of Scotland Yard. So I hope you'll take back some tales of us London bobbies and how we uphold our guiding principles. I wasn't planning on going back just yet. I've only just arrived here. So then, sir, I'd be happy to lend you my award card for your perusal. But I must warn you, you'll be able to get through it without shedding a few tears. Thank you. I'll try. Yay. A warrant card. Just what I wanted. Well, let's read it. Item number 1. A policeman will strive to preserve the peace within his allotted beat. Polling officer expected to walk 20 miles. Around his beat every day. Any crimes fall under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Okay. What you mean they don't open fully? Is that correct? They're just there to allow a bit of air through the house. You see, they're restricted as to how much they open. And therefore, anything throwing out of the window from inside the room simply strike the pane and follow the street directly below. For clarity, allow me to mark the map. Right, we just fall. Yes, directly opposite the scene of the crime on the other side of the Weatherboard Road. Would it have been so hard for somebody to mention this top hinge casement thing earlier? Well, I have another question for you, Constable. I don't even know. How would you have any idea what sort of windows Mr. and Mrs. Garadev's house is furnished with? Ah, well, sir, that's very simple. See, I helped with the investigation yesterday. Oh, what is this? Excuse me. Do you have something to add, Mrs. B? Sorry? You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular reason for that? Oh, I was just remembering. That's all. You really were so lucky. Lucky? What do you mean? Well, of course I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. We were just so lucky it didn't happen on Rolly Speed. It was so close, you see. Oh, I hadn't realized. Yes, that street by a road, that's the boundary between Rolly Speed and the next one. Isn't that right, my love? Constable Beat. That's the reason I was helping out with interviewing the occupants of the Garadev household yesterday. That was on my beat, you see, sir? That really was cutting it close then. It was on your beat. That side of the road is his. I wonder if you could clarify something. The Garadev household is on your beat. Does that mean the pavement next to it is the pavement next to it is as well? Inside Mr. Garadev's house? Yes, ma'am. Pavement on that side of the road is part of my beat. I see. Was unaware of that. Just think if the woman had been attacked just on this other side of Briar Road. We've never been able to go for that meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary. That's the life of Bobby, after all. Extraordinary people are Bobbies. Extraordinary people are Bobbies. Entirely subordinate for the benefit of all the Londoners. Do you know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Rolly for all his hard work. Don't you think so, my darling? Something suspicious going on here. I'm sure somebody moved the objects. That has to be it. Leave it to me, Mr. Naruhodo. I'll take care of it immediately.
Hold it!
According to my notes here, the sun had gone down already. It was dark. Willie and I were strolling along, gazing at the night sky and looking for our lucky star. Sorry? Can it guide you to answer the question? The flaming book I cut across the sky in front of us would have lit up like a shooting star. She a shooting star would have made a wish upon it. Let Rolly be an inspector, I would have said. 3 times at least. Of course, what with the smog and everything, couldn't actually see any stars. Sure. Are you trying to say that neither a book nor a knife crossed the sky before you? It certainly seems like they're telling the truth. Interesting.
Hold it!
It's a nearby police box to fetch another officer. If it had been in Rolly's beat, I would have known exactly where I was going, of course. Don't feel bad, my love. Can't be expected to know the location of every police box on every beat. Who told you the way? Patricia, my darling, that's why I love you. Your terrible sense of direction is bewitching to me. Oh. I guess someone's into that. Barf. Oh, please. Suppose I was gone for about 15 minutes? Like I said, my Rolly was at the scene the whole time. Making sure nothing was disturbed. Soft duty at the time.
Hold it!
Nothing to report. Greetings, Professor. Nothing to report. It's quite sad. Had my eyes wide open the entire time. Never looked away for a second. Really, no. When else approached the scene, nothing was removed from it. So, breaking down the yard's honor. Really? That seems a little strange. Beg your pardon, sir? Strange, sir? Seems altogether regular to me. Bird copied the lion's pride was originally the carrot of household. So the question remains, how did it find its way into the hand of the victim? How could it be a different copy? Yes, you're a genius. It's definitely that. Even if it were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? Oops. As you can clearly see from this photograph of print, she had a bag on her shoulder. Book was there already. But so. There's something about this statement that's not sitting right with me. What part of it? Must be some kind of common thread. Wait, what is this? This is new. Oh, yes, of course. What is it? You're doubting us, aren't you? I can tell. Please, just because I'm a woman, it doesn't make my testimony less valuable. I never said anything about that, lady. You might just see me as the wife of a policeman, but I'm a woman of my word, I am. I really don't remember ever suggesting that I doubted you. No excuses, I don't want to hear it. My lord, you'll let me speak, won't you?
Yes, Mrs. Beat, I will allow you to supplement your testimony if you so desire. Sometimes the path of least resistance is the sage one.
That was a very loud mutter. I've heard that. Japanese man thinks a policeman's wife word counts for nothing, does he? Well, watch out, sir. Might let you get away with something like that, but my Broly won't.
Duly noted, Mrs. Beat.
Hold it!
Mrs. Beat, nobody's questioning what you've told us.
Thought you did, yes. The little Eastern man with the whiskers and the funny curved back just running away.
See any flaming books or knives flying through the sky?
Oh, very clear.
You also mentioned something about having a poor sense of direction. Oh yes, well, that's a little embarrassing really. I'm always ending up at the wrong place when I made arrangements to meet Roly. I get so cross.
Oh, what? What? What do you have to say?
Excuse me!
Constable Beat, is there a problem?
No, sir, no problem, sir.
Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind, perhaps?
Bad sense of direction, huh?
Maybe you could get the sides of the roads size of the roads mixed up.
Definitely possible. Just remember that the same thing happened that evening is all.
You mean Mrs. Beat lost her way on the night of the incident?
Oh, you see, I sent off to find a police box in the next beat over from mine. She was gone a fair bit longer than I was expecting. Thought she'd be back inside in 10 minutes, but my darling was gone good 15. Oh, Roly, you're such a tease. The reason I was so long because of the bouquet, silly.
Bouquet? Sorry, what bouquet are you talking about?
Oh, it was a present for our wedding anniversary. Roly, so romantic. He saved it up with farthings and halfpennies he found in the gutter while doing his rounds.
Yes, how romantic.
I've forgotten all about it just until now. Would you, my darling? Oh, yes. That was just between us.
What?
I'm not talking about it to anyone else, darling. You have to promise. Really? Oh.
Well, that's fucked. What was that all about? Constable Pete looked very obviously troubled during that exchange.
I'm afraid I can't offer any useful insight, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm quite sure of one thing. I have to ask Mrs. Beat about the bouquet.
Mrs. Beat, this bouquet you just mentioned. I'd like to add details about it to your testimony, please. He knows we're working. He knows we're making progress.
Hold it!
You mean you dropped the bouquet at the scene of the crime?
Yes, that's right. Oh, I was so upset. When we ran over and saw it was a woman with a knife in her back. I was shocked I dropped the bouquet Roly gave me. I was in a dark spot where the streetlights weren't casting any light, so I didn't notice at first.
Then you went to the police box to report it to the policeman whose beat it was on.
Yes, and I came back to the scene together with the other constable, you see. Somebody spotted my bouquet again. The funny thing was, when I went to pick it up, there was nowhere near the victim's body at all.
In case you need reminding, Mrs. Beat, the victim was not deceased.
I was all flustered for a moment before I heard the voice calling me from the other side of the road.
Your husband, presumably.
Though I'm going to blame the bouquet this time. Can't think of how it got there, I really can't. So the bouquet somehow moved from one side of Briar Street to the opposite. Interesting. That beautiful rose really brought me. That change with the gutter he spent so long collecting. The gutter rose, how romantic. By bouquet, do you perhaps mean this sorry solitary rose? Oh, yes, that's it. It's a bouquet Rolly gave me for your anniversary with old bits of change you found in the gutter. Wow, some bouquet, huh? Maybe just call it a rose. Tell us, Lord Van Zeeks, where did you come by the flower? According to the report by the police officer in charge of the crime scene investigation, it was found on the edge of the pavement in front of the Garadeb household. Ah, in front of the Garadeb's house. So was the body moved somehow? Although it wasn't noticed until morning as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. It's believed to be of no relevance to the case since it was found at the opposite side of the thoroughfare. No, I think for good measure this rose should be added to the court record as evidence. Get fucked. Oh. The shock of seeing the stab victim caused Miss V to drop the rose. It's a symbol of our love. Some love. I want it back after the trial. Do you want me? I want it back. Good grief. Rest assured that I shall do my very best not to forget, Mrs. B. Let's inspect that rose, shall we? Nothing obviously visually seems wrong. An English rose. It's such a beautiful flower. Oh, this is a rose, is it? Never seen one before. Do you not take an interest in flowers, Mr. Naruhodo? I wouldn't say that exactly, but I do know 3 types at least. Gosh, 3? Yes, plum blossom, peach blossom, and cherry blossom. Perhaps you should consider branching out, learning some that aren't fruit tree based, for example. That's it? What about this, this thing? What is this? It's very stylish paper the flowers wrapped in, isn't it? It's just an old newspaper, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, suppose it's because I'm not used to seeing English print. Looks so exotic to me. Ah, I see. Something wrong? Oh, no. I was just thinking that if you wrapped a stone-baked sweet potato in English newspaper, it might look like some sort of fancy cake. Oh, Susato-san, you do love your cakes. Nothing? I guess there is nothing else. Well, if it was found on the Garadeb side, and she dropped it up where the body was. Drop your bouquet. Let's present.
Objection!
No. Okay, well, never mind. Ding. Didn't take your eye off the crime scene. Alright, what if... Because he didn't notice the rose.
Objection!
Your claim, Constable Beat, is that there was nothing to report in 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene. That cannot be. Got him. What do you mean to say? In your testimony just now, Mrs. Beat, you explained to the court that when you arrived back at the scene of the crime with the policeman assigned to that beat, the bouquet you had dropped at the victim's side was no longer anywhere nearby.
Objection!
Yes, on the opposite side of Briar Road to where the victim was attacked. Considering the size of that meager bouquet, a single sorry bloom can be so described. No doubt it was blown in the wind across the street, back into the gutter where it belongs. Meager?
Objection!
But if that were the case, why did Constable Beat not testify to the fact? No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. Constable Beat swore to that on Scotland Yard's honor. The bouquet belonged to me. It has nothing to do with the case. That's why Rolly didn't mention it, I'm sure. No, because sadly, it's not only your bouquet we're talking about here. More than one thing in this case is mysteriously the wrong way around. What are you talking about? Holy shit, what if Rolly moved it so that he didn't have to deal with it? Because they made a point to mention that the other side of the street was Rolly's. Besides Mrs. Beat's bouquet, there's Mr. Garredeb's book. Mr. Garredeb's copy of The Lion's Pride, which was thrown out of the window by his wife, would have struck the pane of the casement window and landed here on the west side of the street. And yet, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in the victim's hand. Meanwhile, according to the testimony we've heard, Mrs. Beat's bouquet should have been dropped here at the scene of the crime on the east side of the street. In fact, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in front of Mr. and Mrs. Garredeb's house. There's no logical explanation for those things, unless somebody deliberately moved them. What are you trying to say? The way you're talking, it sounds like you think my Rolly's done something wrong. Don't you listen to a word that scrawny lawyer says. Wittering on about books and bouquets, why should we care? It's nitpicking, that's what it is. Oh good, Miss Garredeb's come round. You might call it nitpicking, Mrs. Garredeb. Deliberately meddling with the scene of a crime is a criminal offense. It's called, tampering, Mr. Naruhodo. But the person responsible for this tampering cannot admit to it for a very subtle but compelling reason.
Objection!
Tampering? Barely heard the term before. Tell us, my learned friend. Would possibly have had cause to carry out such an elaborate deception. Yes, there was someone who tampered with the scene of the crime that evening. All the evidence and all the testimony points to that one particular person. It's Rolly. Who are you saying is responsible for tampering with the scene of the crime?
Take that!
Got him. Obviously, there's only one person who could have been. Constable Rolly Beat, it was you.
What? A policeman? A member of Scotland Yard?
You lost your job. You lost your job, sir, and soon you'll lose your wife. 'Tis a shame, really. What nonsense. Why would my Rolly do something like that? There's no one straighter than my husband. No Bobby works more tirelessly for the people of London.
Mrs. Beat, you said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go to a nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. 15 minutes that you were absent from the scene is the only opportunity anyone had to tamper with it.
You're making it up. It's all nonsense. It's all lies. What about the Japanese man with the whiskers? It was him. He did it.
Objection.
If that was true, Constable Beat would have seen him do it.
Oh. Forgive me for not pointing it out, but when you dropped your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, it was after the defendant had fled the scene. Well.
Objection.
First, you make accusations about the landlord and his wife. Now you incriminate a policeman as well. But your accusations lack one very important thing. Evidence? You claim the crime scene was tampered with. There is only one reason anyone would commit such a reckless crime: to hide something.
That's right, he's right. My husband and I just happened to be there. That's all. Why would he have anything to hide? It doesn't make sense.
He's just lazy. He offered no motive for this alleged tampering. He tampered with it so you didn't have to deal with it. Till you do, your accusations are nothing but empty threats. Constable Beat had a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of the crime. It's the key to this entire affair.
Mr. Naruhodo, have you managed to solve this mystery?
Counsel, you have made a very serious accusation against a London police officer. You are mistaken. I'm sure I need not point out that your reputation as a lawyer will be irrevocably damaged. I can talk. My tongue is getting tied. Irrevocably damaged. Yes. Yeah, it's late. I need more water. That's what I need. All right. Constable Beat's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide where the victim fell. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. The victim fell to the ground. That is what this Bobby had to cover up at all costs. What?
The victim fell? Wait, you mean where she was attacked? What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? The pavement of Briar Road. We saw it happen, remember? Those right here, as if anyone didn't already know.
That's certainly what everybody has been led to believe. In fact, it isn't where the victim was stabbed at all.
What? What?
We're going to need to wonder where this tumultuous trial will end, Counsel. It just keeps going and going. That's your assertion. The court is dying to know, my Nipponese friend. Where are you proposing that the crime actually took place that evening? Right here.
Take that!
But that's on the opposite side of the road.
I don't understand.
On the evening in question, Mr. Gadam's book fell directly down from the open window above, and your bouquet, Mrs. B, never moved at all. What did move was the scene of the crime itself. Good gracious!
Objection!
Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. The witnesses both saw the moment the attack took place.
That's right. I saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah, with your own eyes that have a very bad sense of direction. It's 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. There was the typical London fog on the ground. You saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid. That was actually the west side of Briar Road.
No, that's not true. It can't have been.
Constable Beat then arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending you for help. And during the 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted the crime scene.
And all the things shown in this print, the victim herself, the 4 books, he moved everything, in fact, to the pavement on the east side of Briar Road. Extraordinary. Things are looking worse and worse for Mrs. Garadab. She probably threw the knife. The constable overlooked one thing. What? What did he overlook? The bouquet, I presume. Because it was out of the light. Prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago about the discovery of the rose bouquet. Lord Van Zeek said it wasn't noticed until the morning, as it lay where the street lamps cast no light.
Yes, it couldn't be seen in the dark, obviously.
Which is why it was only the bouquet that was found in its original position on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense's theory about what really happened that evening. How do you respond? Constable Rolly beat. You've been very quiet this whole time. Well, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again. I haven't slept properly in a month. Did I miss anything important? Oh, Rolly. Isn't it it isn't true, is it? What that lawyer said is all lies, is it? I know it is, because you're the most upstanding, righteous man I know. Divorce. I had a dream, a terrible dream. All the things I did that night. Everything come out. Everything exposed. Well, it's over for you. And this trial is just full of relationships falling apart, huh? Only it seems it wasn't a dream at all. Good golly!
Order! What is the meaning of all this?
Oh, really? Why? Why would you do something like this? Moving a corpse is... it's a criminal offense, isn't it? Wishing the victim dead should be one, too.
Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London town.
I can't say, sir.
What?
I really am ever so sorry about all this. For damaging the Yard's reputation. For everything. I have a possible explanation. For why on that particular evening, Constable Beat felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can think of one reason.
What? How could you possibly know? You, a foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman. Yet Lord Van Zeek said it is this foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far.
Yeah, you tell him, Judge.
I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory.
Call me extraordinary. I am extraordinary.
Now then, I think you'd better show us some evidence.
Yeah, we'll show him the... We'll show him the, what's it called? The Scotland Yard, like, code or whatever. What the hell would a wanky Lord Nova beat policeman? True. England, Japan, it makes no difference where you come from. Human emotions are the same. That's deep. I have a fairly good idea of the feelings behind this man's actions. Yeah, Lord Van Zeek is just in his high castle and not... Probably hasn't talked to a policeman in ages. Actually, that's not true. He's a prosecutor. He'd probably talk to the policeman in this case. Like a fish and chips guy. Forgot his name. But yeah, he wouldn't know anything about the grunts patrolling around. Probably lives in his own faraway castle.
Take that!
realize that I'm a foreigner in this land, and I only have just arrived from Japan, which is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learned that through though honorable, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example. Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens on his beat in all kinds of ways. There's no doubt the young Bobby is charged with a great deal each day, certainly. But for Constable Beat, the day in question was special. Special? How? On account of this bouquet, my lord.
Oh, yes. It was our very first wedding anniversary.
Constable Beat had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife. I was so looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal. When he and Mrs. Beat stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. When he saw that shadowy figure through the fog collapse on the pavement ahead of them, it must have gone through the man's mind. Oh shit, I have to work again. What's up with a lot being married to a Bobby like me? I just want to show my dear wife how much I care. This is the warrant card that Constable Beat offered to lend to me earlier. Inside, among the rules for patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, policemen must assist with the initial investigations and help detectives. Aha! Constable Beat? Is that, or is that not, the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day? Yes. Everything you said, it's all right. So that's it. It was all to do with the boundary of your beat.
Oh.
This case is so good. It has so many, different mysteries in it. To summarize, the incident actually occurred on Constable Beat's beat. That's a mouthful. Gracious Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you've done?
It was the first time since I became a copper that I ever cursed God. Stay close to me, Pat. The criminal could be lurking somewhere.
Let's run over to the scene. I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer.
Let's report this to the station as quickly as possible.
Then it dawned on me.
I realized where we were, where the victim was lying. What that meant for me. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with the initial investigations and help detectives. Why here? Why did this have to happen here? Why tonight, of all nights?
Bro can think about just delaying his celebration for one day?
Why?
Not the brightest guy.
It's a copper's job to guard the scene of the crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then, when I opened my mouth to speak, it just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. This is the beat next to mine, Pat, so we have to go to the police box that covers it. Turn right around Meerschaum Street and then...
Oh, Susato. She's tearing up. She's so funny. Oh, you're tearing up too.
I'm...
Everyone's eyes are just watering. You, your wife, Susato.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, Constable. I just wanted, just that one night, to take my Patricia out for dinner. Oh, really? Just that one night?
You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration would be ruined. And so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction, just across the street to the east pavement of Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring Beat's care.
You see, I thought, well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see.
Beg your pardon?
Of course he did. Otherwise, my Roly would never have left the poor woman on the freezing cold pavement.
Ah, I see your meaning now.
God got me back for my sins, didn't he? That's why I missed the blows I bought for Pat. No, Roly, that was all my fault. I never should have dropped it in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Roly.
How tragic. Can you tell us, Constable? How many books did you move from one side of the road to the other in total?
Oh, 4 it was. Yes, sir. Definitely 4.
Three were dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the fourth being the one that fell from the window upstairs in the Garrett household, of course. I don't know why I did Susato's voice in my regular voice. What made you place that book in the victim's hand? And all the others were scattered haphazardly around, I mean.
Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it.
How you found it? What do you mean? Ah, I can see how it happened now. The victim saw a book fall from the sky. She picked it up. She's like, curious. And then next a knife fell and fell into her back.
When I first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand.
So you're sure it was this book, The Lion's Pride, the victim was holding?
Oh, yes, sir. No doubt about it, sir.
Interesting.
I thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see. There were only the 2 people at the scene. Pat and me both saw it happen. However, which way you looked at it, it had to be the fellow who ran off and done it, I thought. I couldn't see the harm, really.
What a sad way to go. Yeah, man. Well, just because you wanted to celebrate your anniversary. Really, really unfortunate timing, yeah. But seriously, he didn't even consider the fact that he could just delay his dinner. Or maybe he had a reservation, I don't know. But like, I'm sure his wife would be understanding, right? Like she understands what it means to be married to a guy like him. He's got duties and stuff.
I suppose this is it for me now. I've had it.
My lord. Yes, Lord Van Zieks.
I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses.
What?
Already? Constable, you may withdraw.
Yes, sir. Prosecutor, sir. What become of my Roly? What will happen to him?
For now, you are free to go home. The police will contact you in due course.
Please, don't punish my husband.
I mean, he has to be punished somehow. I don't know if they're going to take away his position.
Because I'm always moaning at him for coming home late.
Even now, Pat, let's go home. I'm tired.
All right then, my love.
One last thing, Constable.
Sir?
Let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you.
Yes, sir.
Carve that lesson into your mind. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime. Oh, he gets to keep his job. Good.
Never again, sir. You mean to say...
Leave, now. The trial is not yet over. Oh, he's got a bit of a soft side. He's merciful. I knew he was a decent guy. He's a little goofy, a little dramatic, a bit of a drama queen. A diva, even. But he's good. Whoa, what a startling revelation, I must say. And with that revelation, I think I will end it here. It's quite a long stream. It's quite late. Seems like a decent enough ending point. Thank you all for watching. In the next stream of this, hopefully, we'll finish the trial. This is a long episode. And in the next stream, you know, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition comes out. If I manage to get my hands on that game on release, I'll play it. I will. I'll try to get a physical copy though. I won't like buy digital just to play it on release, to be honest. To be real with y'all, I'm a physical purist for now when it comes to console. Yeah, well, if Xenoblade X doesn't happen, Ace Attorney will happen. But anyway, thank you all for watching. You have a great rest of your night. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe and be well.